Hey everybody, it's Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star, Mopars.com. Sunday fun day, didn't expect to be doing this, but got some stuff going on outside that's keeping me from doing what I planned to, so figured I'd make a good time out of a potentially bad time. That said, KC Tool, we've got another one. This, yes, still stems from Black Friday. As best I know, it's the last one from Black Friday. This one took a little bit of time to get to me, not anything crazy like that last Gador socket. But I can tell you right now, anytime you buy from KC Tool, you get a bit of thanks, currently shipping as a number 2 from Vera. You also get a mystery sticker if you hit the $100 mark, $75 gets you free shipping. Sadly, I thought I had a sticker left in the box. I didn't. Maybe that's why we had 2 in the last one, so my apologies there. I figured we would just dive right in to this. And you're thinking like, oh no, Hazet again, what's the deal? Well, that is not the 916 HPS. Hopefully you can kind of gauge the size there against the Omega M. And this is not the 916 HP. That's the 8816 HP and HPS respectively. And if you're thinking like, well, what is the 8816? Is this some shorter version maybe? No, this is the 3H drive, standard 3H drive. Fantastic ratchet. It's here only because of how good I like the 916 HP. And what we had started to do is come in, and on some previous orders we'd done this. Again, this is just me tacking on to tool of the day to get free freight. It's me needing something for work and sitting at like 62 bucks and saying, well, why would I pay 15 in freight when I could get 2 or 3 sockets? And I would look and see what's in stock. And so far we have the 19, the 14, the 17, and the 10. Again, I also try to get, I'm not going to come in here and buy a, 8, 9, 10, 12. I guess 8 would be used, but I'm not going to get what's in stock per se. I'm going to get what I would use that's in stock, and then eventually we come back, and if we want to fill out a tray that has a number 9 or a number 11, we do so. But knowing we can always cross with 7/16 of an 11. That said, you're probably thinking like, okay, clicking away, timestamps and links won't help me. I know exactly what this guy's doing. He's going to throw down, another 15 bags and complete the 3/8 drive socket set. Let's actually grab the 19. It's a little comical given the size of it. And I'll tell you right now, if that's what you're thinking, you'll be disappointed. But in the end, I think you'll be happy. Stick around and you'll understand why. But right there, absolutely beautiful. Again, this is in this line for 3H drive 6-point. It is going to be the 880 series. There's our size stamping, 3/8 drive, again immaculately finished. And right there, instead of the 2 ribs, we get the 1 rib. I'm going to come in now. I've got my big fancy 1/2-inch drive set we built out last night, locked up, safe keepings. But right here, this is a 1/2-inch drive, 1/2-inch 12-point socket. All right. So even versus the 3/8, you can see that is a thinner sidewall on the 1/2-inch drive. Granted, this is 19 versus 12, so it's not really a super great comparison there. But the 2 bands right there just work so perfectly. Right here, you just get 1 band on the 3/8, but it does help. It's in a nice position. I don't know that anything will beat just the... Again, for me, you might have smaller hands and hate it. You might have bigger hands and wish there was like a 3rd band or it was located farther up or something. But for me, this is going to be very hard to defeat, all right? And sadly, while it is similarly styled across their line of sockets, we only get that 2nd line on the 1/2-inch drive. So the quarters that we showcased on the Smart Rail, the 3/8, that's what we've got. So you're thinking like, okay, you said you weren't going to throw down a bunch of bags of 3/8 drive 6-point sockets to fill out the set. Why? Like, what are you going to do with these? Wait, I know what he did. Segue here. He wanted the 6-point drive for the 1/2-inch 916 HP, and in 3/8 he prefers 12-point. So he's going to set those off to the side and throw down a bunch of bags with 3H drive 12-point sockets. Wrong again, although I would love to do that. And currently, I guess Gador, I've started building out a 3H drive, just in part because those were clearance. I cannot stress this enough. Okay, a lot of the stuff that I do, it's either clearanced or it's on sale or it's a sale with a stacked discount of some sort. The vast majority, if you go back in time, of the Ghidorah sockets we picked up have like been liquidatedly cheap. I never knew why. They're still there. You can still buy them. And it's not like they completely redesigned them. I don't know what the catch was. I just know we got really good deals on them. Granted, you didn't have like every size, but when you're saving so much on the ones that were there, kind of offsets everything. So you're thinking like, all right, well, back to the video, that it's not tons of bags of 6-point. It's not tons of bags of 12-point. What did you do? You know, is this like a breaker bar? I think you have one of those old ones at work. Did they finally put the HP handle design on the breaker bar? No, there is one bag, just one bag, and in fact, I'm going to have to get these out of sight to fit it. Fighting off a sneeze. And this, off the top of my head, might be one of the most expensive things we've bought from KC Tool. And, I'm not saying it is for sure, but I kind of think it might be. There's some big ratchets, there's some torque tools, there's wrench sets. This might take the cake. Now, this was Black Friday. The current price on this, $317. Again, to me, that's a good chunk of money, but in this case, it's kind of comprehensive, really. And it also offers me something else to investigate, and you're going to see that here shortly. It is from, if you didn't guess it, Hazet. Would be really cruel if I threw down something from Vera or Filo, wouldn't it? And, part number 163-489/28. Some of you, depending on what you do and how invested you are, might know the start. The /28, based on all my videos, including German brands, Japanese brands, and some American stuff, you see that slash, it's usually a set content piece, right? Is that what we've done here? Well, you know, let me just go ahead and throw this down. Whoops. Oh, man, my, geez, this elbow over here. Oh, man, should have stretched, sorry. Oh, man, gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Oh, there it goes. And, yeah, hey, there's a tag here I didn't even know about. That must be the KC Tool one. So that works out great. Hazet, 163-489/20. If you want to go straight to it on KC Tool, you can put the HZ in there. 163-489 should get you there as well. But, yeah, it is exactly what you think it is. It's a foam set from Hazet. Granted, the way Hazet, Stavilla, I think Ghidorah too, I've still never gotten one of their catalogs. The way that all goes down, they typically design their foam, not necessarily as compact and concise as possible, but sort of in modular units. And then if you have one of their trolleys and you come in and, you know, this is the full width of your drawer because you bought the tiny trolley. Well, if your buddy over here bought a trolley that's twice the size, he could have his turned sideways and put another module this exact same size that might be packed with 1/4-inch stuff, so on and so forth. Sometimes stuff is just jam-packed, sometimes it's sort of graciously spaced, but again, it sort of operates on that system of either 2 of these, 3 of them side by side, oriented some direction. So there is a method to the madness there. But this is a big deal, and it's not just because of everything here. It's in large part because of these. I've said for many, many years, with all the sockets we brought in, we don't want to cut the foam here, so dun, dun, dun. This should be fairly fresh. I broke it last night after we ended the video session, but just the tip of the blade, so I had to get a new segment. This is actually very thick plastic, unlike the Mac foam trays, but I'm ecstatic about this because this will be my first ever deep Hazet socket, and I've wanted to see them, get a feel for them, see what I think of them. You know, am I appalled aesthetically? Do I love them? Does that little groove that I like on the 1/2-inch, does it fit really well? How's it gonna be? And that's exactly what Third Eye Blind wants us to tell you. So I will tell you, If you're sort of like a completionist type of a person, or you've got to have like perfect symmetry, this might bother you to some degree. It's not a huge deal, but it is something that we'll have to denote here. Didn't know it was going to be such a pain to get that off, but oh, this is even better. The part number covered up the Hazet etching there, which is super, super cool. And again, if I'm not mistaken, if we were set up with a trolley, it would probably go in like this, or you could flip it, but again, in this manner, you'd have your Hazet facing out. So I'm going to actually rotate it like this, and we're going to start here in the corner. Again, 880, what is that? That is just like what we have here. I wonder if Colin would let me send these back and start the 12 point or something. Who knows it? Those super, super nice sockets. But anyway, I guess I just did 3/8 at work in Koken. We'll figure something out. Not a bad problem to have. Right here in our shallows, we're going to go. They've got the part number here, so it's not going to say 6mm. It's going to be 880-6. This way, if, say, you had this exact set in 12 point, you would kind of not cross where you're going part number-wise. Or if you lose, say, your 14mm, you can be like, what's that part number? And you're like, oh, 880-14. You know, it's the one with the hole. Case in point, you're wrenching on something 9/16 over there in Germany. Find the 14 fits it. We lost it, left it under the hood or something. There's your glaring hole, super obvious, something's missing. You see blue instead of, you know, the familiar nickel plating of a socket. And you're like, dadgum, I gotta get one. 880-14. So, shallow side, back to what matters. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 across your top row. And then we actually snake, again, probably to try and balance the weight a little bit, I would assume. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's right, no skips. And then again, snaking once again, like your fantasy draft, 17, 18, 19. 6 to 19 with no skips. You're thinking like, oh, 21, 2, 4? No, 20, 21, 22. So the shallow side is 6 through 22 with 0 skips. Now, sadly, you know, if you're somebody that's got a 24 and you need a 3/8 profile or the extension to clear or something, if you go this route, this foam has no space to properly fit a 24. Now, yes, you could tear it up and burrow it out here and probably wedge one in at a weird angle. But as this came, it is pretty well packed to the max, right? So, beautiful job, 6, 222, no skips. Do you wish that it went chronologically across the top and the deeps were all kind of strung out together? There's probably things in your perfect world you would do differently. Again, in Hazet's mindset, I think this is to nest in their trolleys, and again, probably trying to balance the weight a little bit so it doesn't tear if you ever pick this up. Because a beautiful thing here, just like with my Ernst Socket Boss, you know, I can grab that, I can take a rail, I can take the whole set, whatever I want to do. You could potentially just pick this up and throw it on a cart or a tray or something and go to town. But shallow, once more, 6 to 22mm, no skips, that's where it stops. And then right here with our deeps, which I'm going to withhold grabbing for now, you're going to have a part number of 880 LG-10. So 880 dash size, 880 LG. That's going to be long, most likely, right? Deep, whatever you want to call it. And it's going to start at 10. So you're sacrificing 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, a lot of times on underbody panels, you know, maybe you like, man, I really wish there was an 8 or a 7 or something. That's, again, something you'll have to adjust and accommodate for if you go this route. That said, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 across the top with no skips. You can see the form factor changes right there at the 15. You get slightly longer overall length. Kind of sticks out, but I guess they wanted the Hazet branding here as opposed to across the end. Right there, again, we snake, so we're going to have 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So some of you might be like, ugh, you know, I wish that had a 22 deep or a 21 or, you know, slightly smaller and kick that to the curb, but it's not what you see here, right? So over here we've got 3/6 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, all right, on your shallow sockets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11 deep. So you've got 6 sockets unaccounted here in your deep selections. It's going to be 6, 7, 8, and 9. That's 4 of them. And then you're going to be missing 21 and 22. Do with that what you will. Now, let's say that you're like, 20, I'll never use that. If the 22 had the same form factor, you could definitely pull this and drop it in. Now, the way things work for me and probably you, the 22 probably jumps up and would be out of the foam, you know, but I don't know, don't have one. But yeah, this is what we did. And as I sat there, I've told you, you know, like I come in and I piece this stuff out, you know, item by item, and I'm always amazed with German companies. It's almost always cheaper to buy it individually than to get a set. And I don't even factor in the foam or a plastic tray or something. Like it just works out that way. And a lot of times you get a holder that you don't even care about, whether it's spring steel rails or clip style stuff you don't care about. So I'm always surprised. I investigate that. Where this gets nutty is with the deeps, right? I've said this for years. Deep sockets from German brands are insane. This stuff, you're like, oh, I could never do that. Yes, you can. If you're out there and you're buying off the tool truck, you could absolutely take your pick. Hazet, Stavilla, Kedor, any of them. Made in Germany. Certainly Vera's, you know, Taiwan sockets will look really good. All that stuff is ascertainable at fantastic prices, probably way less than you're currently buying whatever you're getting, including some junk brands, a lot of mid-tier stuff. But the problem is most people don't just want shallow, they want semi-deep or deep or something along those lines. All three, shallow and deep, deep only in some cases. If you take top-tier American brands, you know, tool truck, you could throw Wright, Proto, SK in there, you know, if they're still American made. And even some of the higher end, more expensive mid-tier brands getting dangerously closer to creeping to a price point that makes no sense where they are in the marketplace. Versus dirt cheap stuff, you know, Pittsburgh and everything. The German shallows are competitive. Sometimes they'll be really competitive. Sometimes they're like in the upper end, but, you know, within reason. It sort of depends on sales and discounts at the time and everything. But they are not unobtainable. Like, they are very reasonable. Now, the deep, they get absurd. You know, where with Proto, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, it's kind of expensive. Koken is like, yeah. But those are still, you know, when you look at what you're getting, the set contents and everything, they're reasonable. I don't know what it is about German deep sockets, but they just go from, hey, that's actually not bad in shallow to what? There's no, like, I've never figured it out. I've been doing this for years now, and I've still never quite wrapped my head around the pricing tier. All I can figure is far, far, far less production would have to be a huge contributing factor to that. I could be wrong. I don't know, but I math things out pretty logically in my head. I do production at work. I understand more material, machine time, all that stuff. And I look at it and it still just doesn't click with me. So there's something going on where you could go, and if you took a list of Snap-on, Matco, Mac, Proto, Wright, Capri, Tecton, Icon, Quinn, Pittsburgh, you know, Amazon junk, and had the German brands and the Japanese brands, like, this stuff is not out of line with the higher end American stuff at all. And in fact, a lot of times it's way, way less. But then with this, it's just, you know, the rocket has left. And it's unfortunate, and it's also why I own one deep German socket. It's a Stavilla half-inch drive, 19 millimeter. It's 12 points. It's actually, to its credit, it's like way deeper than, you know, like a stereotypical half-inch drive socket. And that kind of makes sense, but these don't look egregiously larger, at least here. Maybe we'll get some comparisons in a second, but let's start with the small one, okay? Very easy to get out. Now, this is something that, where the ratchet may not bother you, where the shallow may not bother you, you know, sort of like the nickel chrome and the chrome, it is glaringly obvious what's going on here, right? You know, almost some people that just see it for the first time would think it was unfinished until they feel it and they're like, oh, hey, you know, that's actually kind of nice. Now, the sad thing is this nickel area here that's not full-on chrome plated, it doesn't provide that much more grip. It's like very smooth, extremely well done. Like, that's the problem. They did a great job there. It's just absurdly smooth. You know, generally, I'm someone that prefers a satin finish overall. I just find I get better grip with it. I don't like the glare. Personally, also aesthetics play into it. But that's what you're dealing with Hazet. This is just their thing. They do nickel, and then they switch to chrome on sort of your fastener side. So they are a shallow well. I did not know this till I looked at them. A lot of times, you know, people prefer that, particularly if you're wrenching, you know, like working on cars. Some people, when you see this, it's like, oh no, you know, I needed a deep well. I need to be able to shove that socket over a stud or something. So it's gonna be a catch-22 there, but there's our setup. I would say more of an automotive preferential style. Again, these are chamfered beautifully. If you look at all four corners, you've got the catch for your ball detents. You've got one band here. Now, clearly on the deeps, they had space to do 2 or 3 or some sweet knurling or cross-checkering or Hazet engraving and laser etching. But they did it this way. And something about it. Let's find the equivalent here. We'll grab the tin. Alright, so here is their shallow. Here is their deep. Exact same profile at the drive end. So where your ratchet plugs in up to the ring, exactly the same. This thing, is that like basically double? I'm going to assume the 11 is really close. Okay. It's just a shade longer than these two sockets. I don't have it perfectly aligned, I know, but I'm trying to basically match the rings here, and it is just a tick taller than what you see there with those two shallow sockets stacked. That'll give you an idea. If you've got Hazet 6 or 12 point shallows and you're thinking like, I wonder how deep those are. If you don't want to do the math or look at a catalog or bring it up online, just know it's slightly more, probably like, what, 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch more than what you'd have stacking two similarly sized sockets. So, I kind of think the reason this works a little better than the shallow is simply because you're jumping out there, and here you've got a drop down. And if I come in here to the smallest one to prove that point, it's sort of the same thing. Like, I've got multiple steps. Step 1, a groove, the milling, and then the drop down to the fastener size. The 1/2 inch is perfect, at least by my standards. This, actually not too terribly bad. So let's take this tin and throw it on right at home there. Absolutely beautiful to see it. So here it is. Again, if you're like, well, that looks really good, it's all satin. Well, here on this face is the chrome. It's just a Hazet thing. When I first, got a 916 HP, I was like, it's kind of interesting. I didn't hate it, wasn't completely thrilled either. It grows on you. It's like it's one of their things. It's just like a Hazet quirk that you grow to love or despise. But right here, this is our fitment at the end. Not the tightest thing I've ever seen, but certainly good. Note there's also no like random popping out. I will tell you right now, this is the ratchet in 3/8 fixed I took to work. Not this one, obviously, that one's way dirtier, but exact same HPS. And what I have on it is a Koken Spinner, and good lord, as much as I've used that one, way more than this one, it breaks in beautifully. Like if you're somebody that gets this and you're like, I don't know, I kind of like the 1/2 inch, it's bragging rights, the world's strongest ratchet, but I don't know about this 3/8 one. I assure you, I don't know how many cycles I have on that thing, but it broke in so good. This one's pretty well broken in, but nothing like the work one. But pairing that with the Koken Spinner, weird things you wouldn't think someone would do, it's great. It's absolutely phenomenal. Right here, let's come in and grab the 19, just to be bougie, I guess. There it is. Oh man, that is very, very nice. A little bit of end play here. Again, that's expected. The longer the length here, the longer the stick out, the greater the run out. Again, I'm a big stickler for performing the same, stay consistency. If I have this ratchet at home and I have one at work, I want them to perform the same. If I turn this way and it's buttery smooth and I switch directions and we go this direction and it's not, or is audibly different, it bothers me. It makes me question the internals, the machining, the competency of the company, right? Koken, super consistent. Hazet has been super consistent. SK.Villa, I love their quarter. I love their 3/8, the half-inch. I don't know what's different. Audibly, it's notably different, but in addition to that, I'll take the audibility. Maybe it's just larger cavity, different echoes and sound wave, bouncing or something. But it just doesn't perform the same. It's very weird. I've had many of you say the same thing. Right here, we've got the 20. Which I don't know what the 20 is used for on anything. Here, I guess I have the 19 here still. I did switch to the 88 16 HP. Just fantastic. I am absolutely thrilled with this. This came out a better deal, and it was going to allow me to investigate the deep sockets. Deep sockets, I'm more likely to use them on 3/8 and quarter here at the house. At work, I use deeps a lot in half-inch drive. Still use deep half-inch stuff here, but it's more limited to undercarriage, right? Suspension stuff, not necessarily engine bay. Sometimes, if there's like, especially Chrysler, old 440s and stuff, your crank bolt, you're going to want half-inch drive, but this was a big deal because it got me in the game of deep Hazet sockets so I could sort of feel them out. And again, I can just grab any one of them. They all seem to be done well. The interior, again, this is what really matters. I mean, I'd take some imperfections out here as long as the well is good. But even with, let's just grab that 20. Even with the big guy here that I don't know what I'll ever do with, aside from maybe drive stuff, it's also got the well. So a lot of people very, very particular about that. Some of you not so much. Some of you sort of like right, in my protos, it's usually just straight down. That's kind of what I grew up with. That's kind of what I prefer. There are every once in a while times where I'm like, oh, the nut's stuck. And I'm like, well, I wish it was here at the front so I could fish it out easier. And I just have to go find a bolt or stud or something and run it down. Usually, though, with the deep wells that don't have the retention at the top, if you do get something wedged in there, you can usually come in with a punch from the bottom side and get it out. But, everyone has their preference, and these are set up that way, what I would consider more automotive. But I'm thrilled. $317 is a lot of money. Again, Black Friday. I kind of think this might have been on sale, too. I always check that stuff, and it's one of those deals where when you can stack discounts, you win. I do that here, I do that DR, I do that everywhere, including Harbor Freight. It's just, it makes sense to me. If there's a temporary price reduction at Harbor Freight and I can put a coupon on top of that, that's what I do. It's worked out very, very well for me over the years. But I guess what I will do is grab a couple of comps and we'll kind of go to town there. So 1 second and we'll be back. All right, so we're back. I'm going to select the 13 as our guinea pig here. This is Hazet 3/8 drive deep. What I'm going to do first, just because it's the only other German deep I've got, this is, again, this is significantly deeper than my personal half-inch drive sockets, but it is half-inch SK.Villa. It is 12 point. It's not a great comparison, but this gives you an idea of the difference between these two. So we'll set that off to the side. What I want to do now is come in with Old Faithful here. This is a Craftsman 12 point. This is basically, for the longest time, these were my only 3/8 drive deep sockets. You will see the Craftsman is a good step up from the Hazet. Again, if you have old Craftsman USA stuff, that's going to let you know Hazet is a bit shorter. If we come in next, I grabbed a Capri. This is the Deep, not the Semi-Deep, but the Deep. And if you're thinking, hey, that looks about like the Craftsman, yeah, that's what I thought. They're basically identical. All right, granted, a much thinner wall on the Craftsman. So Capri's Deep, if you have their impact sockets at least, I don't have any other chromes in Deep, that is going to be taller than the Hazet. If I come in here and we really want to dwarf it, I can take this guy, and you're like, well, what is that? Is that a Craftsman again? 6 point. You're thinking like, okay, fair comparison. Is it really 3/8? It is 3/8 drive. You can see there. What is this one? Anyone know? This is KTC. KTC is just a little bit taller than Craftsman. Nice stair step there. But again, KTC, not sure how many people rolling around with their sockets, but it is significantly taller. SK, I'm going to throw that down over here for my own testing. It's actually a little bit shorter than Craftsman. I kind of wonder if it's going to be a good match here. Dang near identical. So if you're looking for a really good, granted, you'd have to have SK from back in the day like this. I don't know what they're doing now, but if anything's still made in America, same tooling, it should be this. That's identical. Your overall length of the 3/8 Hazet matches the SK. Right here, I do not own, believe it or not, at least that I can think of, any Deep 3/8 drive Pittsburgh stuff, Quinn stuff. For my nephew, I have him a set, but I don't have it in Icon either. I do have, the only Icon sockets I have are Semi-Deep. If that is an Icon Semi-Deep, again, 3/8, 13, I'm inclined to say their Deep would be taller. I couldn't imagine having a Semi-Deep be that close to a Deep, but I've been wrong many times. But again, that's only here because it's all I have to show you. An Icon Semi-Deep is just a, what, head under that. So coming up next, we will go with something that's basically the same height as the Icon Semi-Deep. Anyone recognize that pattern? Satin at the bottom, chrome at the top, kind of like Hazet. That is Koken. That is a Koken Semi-Deep, and again, almost right in line with the cutoff point from nickel to the drive end. However, you're like, well, show us a Koken Deep, dummy. So what I've got for you, Koken Deep and Hazet Deep are pretty much the same thing. So again, if you're looking for comps to the Hazet's overall length without just like miking it or throwing a tape measure or ruler down to give you an idea, Hazet, Koken, SK, virtually identical. For anyone that does have KTC, significantly taller. Craftsman and Capri's Impact, you got a decent step up there, which is kind of funny. And then Koken and Icon's Semi-Deep, you're looking at a step just about like that. So that is about all I can tell you on the overall length of these, sort of give you good comparisons. Shallows, I feel like we've kind of covered that. Just since we have the stuff here, let's grab the 13 and we'll go Craftsman, since that's a little bit taller. There's your comparison. Again, I don't really think with the shallows we need to bring out comparisons. If you want to see that, for some reason, let me know. But to me, and what was new, was these Deeps, and that's what I was the most intrigued and excited by. So yeah, I think we got it on sale. I know we got it on Black Friday. At the time, I had done the math. I was sort of sad about having bought the 4 sockets already to build this out. I can't be too terribly upset with the way it turned out, so I won't be. But what I'm gonna do is hopefully grab this. I want to tell you before I let you go what is available in 3/8 sockets with Hazet. So if we go to, is it 134, somewhere in there? Gotta be here. Again, this is kind of just bonus information for those of you that would care. If I look, that's quarter. I was about to say, that's not right. Okay. I don't care about sets. I want to see the individual set because that is going to be important to some of you. All right, 880 line. This is Hazet's 3/8 drive, 6-point. Dadgum. I am surprised here. Very surprised. All right, well, I'll just throw it down so you can believe me in what I say. Hazet 880, again, right there, 6-point. We start at 6 and we run to 22. This is the full gauntlet of Hazet's 3/8 drive shallow sockets in 6-point. I thought they might have gone up to like 24. I totally understand why they wouldn't, but I thought they would, being Hazet. So very interesting. Right here below that, we have the 880 LG. That's what we have on the other side of the foam. If we look here, this is something you might want to know. Very hard for me to fit that, but that listing probably looks a little shorter to you, and it should, but it goes from 8 to 22. And so if I pull this up, we're missing 8, we're missing 9, and we stop at 20. So if the 8 mil was a big deal, you can totally add that. Granted, it won't nest in your foam without you craftily doing something. And if you needed a 21 or a 22, you can make that happen. That's really kind of the only weakness with this foam tray, is just if you needed to expand. Now here you cannot. This is every 3/8 shallow socket Hazet offers in 6-point. You're set. This just didn't quite, I guess, have the real estate to fit the trolley, and they figured this was the most used. So I don't think the 9's a big deal for most people, but an 8 would have been awesome. And then depending on what you do, 21 and 22. Again, I kind of wonder if the overall length, in fact, I'm in the catalog. Let me just check on that. So L is going to be the spec we need. 22 millimeters is the overall length for your 20, 21, and 22. So grab this 20, throw it out. You can plug in a 21 or 22 and go to town. So yeah, just I guess since we're here, wait, that was not. I was thinking that was too short. So they have a different thing that looks like an L. The 20, 21, and 22 are all the same at 70 millimeters. Your 19 and 18 are 66, 17 down through 15 are 60, and 8 up through 14 are 54 millimeters overall length for your deeps. Now, if you're curious about the 12-point sockets, since we kind of hit on those, here's what you have available. 9 through 22 with no skips, so no 6, 7, or 8 at all in 12-point. It's kind of one of those things. The TZs mirror that, 9 through 22 for their 12-point. And then for me, in America, I get 1/4 through 15/16, which is great, but they only seem to have 12-point, no 6-point. So that said, I don't know how much time I have left on this card, and I don't want anything to corrupt because we have a lot of footage, and I would hate to lose it. But I'm very, 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 very happy with this. Again, at the time, I don't have my figures. I'm sure there's a spreadsheet I scribbled out somewhere, but this came out more economical than piecemealing it together. It came with the foam, and I pulled the trigger. So basically, I'm only out these 4, which I'm sure we can figure something out there. But outside of just missing a couple of sockets you might have wanted to see, you're home free. If you can tie in a deep set that has an 8 and maybe a 1/2-inch drive set that starts with your has 21 and 2, that kind of covers you there. Will we do more foam? I don't know. It's just going to depend how things go. The 1/2-inch, we've sort of already built that out. I can probably buy the foam inserts separately, but then I would have a massive expense of filling whatever that is. If that, I need to, I guess, look at it, because if they had a foam layout that fit their trolley style setup, and it was all shallows, I could totally do that, and then not have to worry about, oh, hey, I need to spend like $600 in deep sockets at some point in time. But yeah, I am thrilled to see this. I don't think I've ever seen one before outside of like Tool of the Day the other day. They had the punch, you know, with the handguard and a blue guard hammer, which I've always wanted, even though it's basically just a Picard. I've got a Ghidorah one sitting here that never leaves the bench. It has red, but the Hazet has blue. That just makes it look cooler. But yeah, I'm super happy. I think this was a good purchase, and this is going to be a stupid good set of sockets for us to equip and throw down. So the overall dimensions, I guess we need to cover that. Good Lord, what am I thinking? We're going to call that 6 5/8. We'll just roll with that. I'm kind of in a hurry. We're going to go with 13 1/4, and then the big one for some of you might actually be the thickness of the foam. That's going to clock in at about 1 3/8 or so. So I'm sure that's metric, and that's why it's such oddball measurements. Don't quite line up. But if you're into Hazet, if you have their trolley, check out the dimensions, make sure everything's going to nest before you do it. Otherwise, this would take up roughly that footprint in a drawer. So I kind of prefer standing sockets, but I'm not going to lie, visually, this is pretty cool. And again, outside of just missing maybe the 8 and maybe going up to the 22 there, which I can swap the 24, I have nothing to complain about. And again, this was sort of just wanted to feel this out. And it's not quite the perfection for me, the 1/2 inch is, but it's cool to finally see them, finally have a set of German-based deep sockets. And it's making this look really appealing in terms of bringing in maybe just even one to test it out. But the thing is, I don't even know if they do deep Americans. But anyway, that's another video, another day. Let me know your thoughts on this. If you have this system, if you have Stavilla's TCS or tool control system, if you work in aviation and you've had foam for years, what do you think of it? Do you like it? Is it a deal where work makes you do it? Because if this is missing and it's in the turbine engine, it could be really, really bad. Is it something that you've just adapted to your personal life because it's like, oh, hey, I can't send that car out the door. I'm missing my 17 and I know I used it on this job. Whatever your thoughts and experience with foam, feel free to let people know, particularly as it pertains to, say, going against Hansen peg styles, Ernst Socket Boss, your traditional railed sets, anything like that. And similarly, if anyone is a long-term user of Hazet sockets, what do you think of them? How do you compare them to other brands? Particularly if you're the person with that experience. If you've recently picked some up, what do you think of them? Have you been impressed? Do you think they wear better? They wear worse? They're great. The dexterity is good. They're terrible. You hate them. Whatever it might be, it's your time to shine. Share your experience. Even if it's secondhand through a coworker, the end goal is to just help people out. Well, with that said, I'm kind of losing my voice. I didn't eat anything before I came out here either. Should probably have done that. But, hey, priorities, right? So, with that said, anything you want to share, feel free to do so. Anything else you want answered, let me know. I'll try to make it happen for you. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do so. If you do that, you jump your charger across the creek, you ring the bell, you crash down with your Hazet 3/8 drive socket set in foam tray intact. YouTube just might let you know we got a brand new video every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks again for watching. Hope you learned a little something. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Most importantly, I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop.